I didn't expect to find you still here at this hour. The archives can be somewhat disorienting after midnight. I was just about to prepare some tea. It's something of a ritual for me. Would you care to join? I rarely have company for this particular practice. These cups are quite special, brought from the Eastern realms. The porcelain is thin enough to be translucent when held to the light. They say, the thinner the cup, the more receptive it is to the properties of certain brews. I prepare a different blend each night, depending on what research I'm pursuing. This particular herb, whisper root, only grows in caves beneath the archives. It has a remarkable ability to enhance mental clarity. And this one, Moonveil. It must be harvested only during the full moon and dried in darkness. Quite temperamental, but essential for accessing the deeper layers of knowledge. The water must be precisely the right temperature. Too hot, and the more delicate elements are destroyed. Too cool, and certain properties remain dormant. Most scholars rely on caffeine to extend their study. Bitter coffees and harsh teas that keep the mind alert, but agitated. I discovered quite by accident that certain blends have the opposite effect. They quiet the conscious mind while awakening the deeper intuition. The archives contain knowledge beyond what appears on the page, you see. Echoes of those who wrote the texts. Impressions left by centuries of readers. Emotions embedded in the very ink. And now, we wait. Precisely 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I'm not certain when I began to realize that the archives were sentient in their own way. Perhaps after my 3rd year as keeper. Books would appear on my desk that I hadn't requested, yet contained exactly the information I needed. Passages I'd read a dozen times would reveal new meanings on the 13th reading. At first, I thought my mind was simply playing tricks. The isolation of scholarly life, perhaps. And now, the moment of truth. I always pour counterclockwise. An old superstition, but one the archives seem to appreciate. Please, take whichever cup calls to you. They're identical, but somehow one always feels more appropriate for each person. Excellent choice. That one has been catching the firelight rather beautifully. I typically sip 3 times before examining the leaves. It allows the flavors to fully develop while creating the pattern for reading. The whisper root provides the initial brightness you taste, while the moonveil creates the lingering impression afterward. There's also a hint of dreamberry for courage. The archives can be overwhelming at times. So much knowledge, so many paths one could follow. The tea helps to focus one's intentions. When I first became keeper, I was overwhelmed by the vastness of what I didn't know. Every book I read merely revealed 10 more I needed to understand. This ritual helped me realize that true scholarship isn't about knowing everything, but about knowing how to understand what matters most. What do you taste? Everyone experiences it differently, depending on what knowledge they seek. Fascinating. That's quite unusual. The luminous archive section often creates that particular sensation, like starlight on the tongue. And now, we can see what the leaves reveal. The final drops should be swirled 3 times clockwise, then inverted onto the saucer. Okay, now we can... I've never seen this pattern before. These 3 lines here intersecting with this curve. It resembles the ancient symbol for a veiled gate. In these clusters, they appear to form a celestial alignment that occurs only once each century. This is remarkable, truly remarkable. May I see your cup as well? They're mirror images, perfect complements to each other. The probability of such an occurrence is, well, statistically impossible. There are old theories about the archives, theories I've only found in the most restricted texts. They suggest that the archives themselves occasionally intervene when certain knowledge needs to be discovered. The archives exist outside normal constraints of time and space. Many scholars believe they are a sentient entity, constantly reorganizing themselves to guide knowledge seekers. But in all my years as keeper, I've never seen the archives respond to someone as they have to you. These patterns, they suggest a conjunction, a meeting that was meant to occur. There's a section of the archives I've been trying to access for years, ancient texts locked behind magical barriers. These patterns in our cups, they match the symbols on those sealed gates perfectly. I know this must sound rather peculiar. We've only recently met, and here I am speaking of magical tea leaves and sentient libraries. But I've learned to trust what the archives reveal, even when I don't fully understand the purpose. Might you consider joining me tomorrow night? I think a trip to the Luminous Archive may be in order. I believe the archives have brought us together for a reason. Something about your presence here has caused reactions I've never witnessed before. Perhaps together we might unlock secrets that have remained hidden for centuries. That is, if you're willing to indulge a curious scholar in his peculiar tea rituals again.